What's up, viewers, subscribers, and agents alike? This your boy Enlightened Luciferian Prince coming at y'all once again. I've been having a ball this week, and this weekend included, and I feel as if I'm in the mood to teach. You know what I'm saying? I started early this morning because, hell, I'm up, and it is what it is, and I don't mind starting early. So, let's talk some more commerce. Y'all with me? Stay tuned. You know what I'm saying? Let's go. As you will discover, the Social Security number is a public number. We're going to put that word in quotation marks, public. Associated with public persona, a person, a legal entity, different from yourself and artificial as well. An example, existing in contemplation of by force of law alone. So in other words, you had no say-so in how it was created. This is your alter ego, also known as your mirror image. All capital letters, your trade name, which is your straw man. Straw man is a legal term for a front man or a nominal party in a transaction existing in name only, though which the owner can accomplish some purpose not otherwise permitted. A straw man serves his owner or master with slavish devotion, but you did not even know that you even had one until now. Well, many of us knew, but now we're way down the rabbit hole to even get back to the point where we didn't know. He has been running around obligating you and entering into all kinds of unconscionable contracts and causing you much grief, heartache, and economic misery and stress. It is time to get to know this fellow and set things straight. When you come to the realization that you operate by a mirror image, when people say, I owe a bill, you automatically assume the liability even though the bill was sent in the name of the straw man. What most governmental entities have done is try to make it seem as if, because you have exposed their legal trickery, is that they want you to believe that you're trying to shirk your obligations somehow because they want to make it seem as if you don't want to pay your bills. That is not the case. The case is, if it's government debt, then I'm not going to accept that debt. And there have been many United States district judges or even state level judges who tried to make rulings on these things and tried to call these arguments frivolous. But if you actually stay for the rest of these videos that I will post on my channel, you will see that it's a complete fallacy to believe that one thing that is a legal theory that's based upon the definition of legalese and what is actually proposed in law is one and of the same. They just never thought they'd be found out. But people, we've got them found out. And they're mad. Oh yeah, when you show this stuff to these people, they get pissed. You know what I'm saying? As I said in my previous video, they don't want you to know this stuff. And they're comfortable with you not knowing this stuff. And they don't want you to ever come to a recognition of who you are and what you are in this commercial system. But we've already pierced the veil, people. Some of us anyway. But let's roll. Most people understand that the law is very precise, with legalized deadly violence associated with the words appearing in the text of the codes that are enforced by courts and police alike. The English language and its accepted rules of grammar are likewise precise, however, and make no accommodation for writing proper nouns in all capital letters. The all capital letters written name that appears on the Social Security card, the driver's license, the passport, the bank statement, the credit card, etc., and which is rigidly insisted upon and enforced by the legal system, is not there by mistake, but it is not your true name, which consists of the given, what they call Christian name. We'll get there later on in the series of how we actually gain the ideology of christening, because anyone who has been christened, whether they believe it or not, has received the mark of the beast. It's fact. But the surname, which is the family name and appears in only initial letters capitalized. The all caps version is your trade name, the name under which you do business, or called a DBA, and is written in another language entirely, legalese. All names, including true names, constitute property and can be copyrighted under the common law. Strangely enough, the source of all money in circulation today is your and others' trade name and is your signed promise to pay. In exchange for loans of credit, which is air, issued in that name, which is basically nothing. You give something for nothing. You give property for nothing. Remember that every time you clock in and you go to your 9 to 5. Banks are accounting and bookkeeping operations with only enough cash on hand to keep customers satisfied, and covertly use your trade name and your promise to pay to create money and generate profit, basically out of thin air. The long-term intention of the money power is to abolish cash completely and leave people with a trackable electronic funds only, which is what the world is shifting to right now based upon what we have post and pre-pandemic. Because if y'all think that this thing is over, trust me, you must be out of your mind. This has just begun. So this is the reason why I'm giving you the knowledge that you need to proceed, because if you don't have a different elevation or a state of being, then you're going to fail. And people might disbelieve me or run into a state of shock. You know, what do? There is no we. It's what do you do? There is no we. Remember that. Because all names are no more than property, no one is his trade name, nor anyone is his true name either. The primary reason we're faced with the current dismal state of affairs is because people's misunderstanding of the nature of what is in a name. Whereas a sovereign uses a name only for purposes of recognizing that someone else desires communication with him or her. Nearly all other people have lost sight of their own sovereign character by confusion about the name. Your true name more closely approximates who you are, but it's not corporate like the trade name. The legal masters of the world capitalize on this simple distinction between true name and trade name to ensure your continued subjugation. The primary pitfall is that an all capital letters trade name sounds exactly like a true name when spoken. Look at the legal definition of idem sonans. IDEM SONANS. This phenomenon has no particular significance in our society except in a courtroom. And a courtroom can be a very dangerous place to be. Trust me, I've been there several times. Unfavorably, but it is what it is. But I can tell you, I had more wins than losses. In a courtroom, as dangerous as it can be, thankfully, you can come out of the understanding of the misunderstanding, but not everyone is so fortunate. Simple observation tells you that the primary function of today's private, foreign-owned, and operated court system is the transfer of personal wealth and freedom into the hands of the courts, banks, governments, corporations, and tax agencies, and ecclesiastical corporation. The judge is calling out a name in one language, legalese. He or she is reading from legal documents in front of him or her, and the customer is innocently listening and answering in another English form, which is what they call layman's terms. This otherwise harmless overlap of language is then immediately, forcefully, and unmercifully applied to the victim's profound detriment. Such deception is now indispensable in maintaining the current level of commercial profit levels of the courts. Example, visit any traffic court for an hour and keep a tally of the proceeds. You will learn that these people rake up a lot of fiat. Straight up. By following the procedures outlined in what I tell you, you'll learn unwarranted victimization at the hands of the judge and legal system can be minimized and even avoided, bypassed altogether. That's why I try to tell people, when you're dealing with the system, your object is to basically stay away from the system. Don't try to be one of these hard-headed idiots out here who try to confront the system. Your job is to live in peace and solidarity within yourself, and to learn the commercial basis of how you proceed, and to stay away from corporate entities and stop being, seduced by every entreaty that you receive. Every advertisement that you actually get, like as far as your Google AdSense is concerned, or your advertisements are concerned, like via Facebook or whatever, because whether you believe it or not, they know exactly what indeed you desire. So you buy into this stuff. Notice the word, you have to buy, because you have to invest your interest into it. Notice the word interest and interest. Interest means what? In the layman's terms, it means my peculiarity, as far as me being somewhat intrigued by it. An interest on the opposite banking end means that if you invest by your interest on the layman side, they can invest by basically getting what? Interest. Ain't that a bitch? If you don't believe that the world is double-sided, you are misled. Straight up. But we'll go further. The UCC provides for filing offices in each state and elsewhere so that a creditor may give formal public notice of the legal relationship between himself and the debtor. It allows for the creditor, called the secured party, to perfect, legally establish a security interest, a private lien, essentially, above all others, including government. That's why I told you people, all you people who put yourselves down as debtors on your UCC, your initial UCC1 filing, you fucked up. Straight. In the property of the debtor, thereby ensuring repayment of specific performance by the debtor and officially precluding to any third party from impairing the private contract. As shown herein, your straw man trade name is the debtor and you the secured party. Your exact relationship with each other is more precisely defined in private agreement. A description of the property pledged by the debtor as collateral for security obligations contained in a security agreement, which I talked about in earlier videos. And those of you who have the actual hardware information know exactly what I'm talking about. Significant additions to the third copyright notice to be published under legal notices in the newspaper. And the new security agreement, which is actually the UCC1. And if you look at Article 9, you look at the dictates and the remaining articles of UCC1, the new security agreement package affords anyone the opportunity to fortify his or her legal position as never before by reposing all property in an all airtight package, impervious to the legal commercial attack, including that of the IRS. The best time for handling trouble is before it arrives. And this package affords that such opportunity. And I'll just go ahead and close my war machine. People, if at any time in history, if you ever known, the object of the UCC1, the purpose of it, is to basically put a cloud around your property. Your property is yours. It is yours. And the entities that you live amongst know it's yours. They just literally want you to legally sign it over to them. Such as a person who's out on bond, right? You're out on bond. So the idea of bond is to what? To bind oneself to an agreement. So they usually say property bond. So if the bond of the person who's bound by legal duty or some sort of performance is evaluated at something like $375,000, you have to have actually double the value of the bond. That means the person, according to Code of Federal Regulations 27, particularly says that that person has to particularly be monetized. And the courts know this, and this is the reason why they issue bonds. This is why I tell all my melanated people, stay the fuck away from the legal system. And definitely stay the fuck away from people who try to place you in that situation. Because the legal system is going to operate how it operates. And it only gains money off the ignorance of people who do not know how to live accountable in society. That's how it works. Stay away from them people. They're parasites. Period. You have to learn that your encounters with these entities will only cause your detriment if you are not operating in a responsible sense of operating in how you know. But unfortunately, there are a lot of people who don't know how to operate in commerce. And this is the reason why they get robbed of their property. So say, for instance, a person, going back to the analogy, who has this bond and this accrued amount, then their family or their forebears, whoever, they put up property and this person absconds from bond. That means that not only the person can be captured for the actual value, which is nothing more than immediate slavery, but they also lose their property too, as long as it's held in will and testate. But long story short, it's all about taking property from people. So I say this to the audience. Before you think about putting property up for somebody who you know in your particular realm of existence who might do some bullshit, and I hate to say this in the most bluntest terms, don't put your fucking property up for them. I don't care how much you love them. Because the government on the opposite end is waiting to get your shit because that person is already labeled on the ledger as a liability, whether you like to believe it or not. Take my word for it, or don't take my word for it. It's your choice. It's fine. Your object is to basically keep yourself out of liability. Now, as I say on my channel before, my channel is not a school for scoundrels either. You know, it's about responsible people living a responsible means and a responsible life. You know, we don't have to get caught up in all these traps that's out here, or these suggestions, or these presentments, or these, you know, new concepts as far as presented to us, because I don't care where you reside in any realm. If you're watching my YouTube channel, even overseas, I know a lot of people do. And you have to take into consideration that you're going to be presented with something, some sort of offer at every angle, when you wake up in creation to the new day. There's always some new form of cryptocurrency. There's always some new form of clothing. It's always a new form of something. So you have to keep yourself out of that commercialized world. And you have to make sure you make your own world as secure as you can as being a secured party creditor. If indeed you can't handle that, then go down the lane of consumerism and commercialism, and you will slowly wither away. You will work away and live and place upon your back, which is a liability, every dollar you ever earned. And they're banking on that. They want the money that you put your sweat equity into to go straight through your fingertips and go right back to them. That's the truth. Now, you might have to take my word for it. You might not like what I'm saying, but the truth is never platable. Seriously. And that's a significant truth, because you have to take it in consideration that they're banking on you to fail. That's why a lot of people I talk to, or the very few people I should say I talk to, because the truth is not popular, but the very few people I talk to still can't get a grip. You have to be able to learn how this world works. You see what I'm saying? And until you learn how this world works, or the world that we live in as a commercial world, not the world, the natural world, the commercial one, then you're going to have a lot of misery in the future. Straight. This world is getting ready to go through total chaos. And I'm not saying this to fearmonger anybody. I'm just being real. It's getting ready to make a very significant shift. I shit you not. Now, what I will say is this. The object is to not be afraid, but to be prepared. Because as long as this world exists, there will still be commercialism. And as I said in my previous video, the UCC supersedes and overrides anything that may take place in the future. Now, I know this might be a hard pill for some people to swallow, but it is very superior, and it has worked for millennia. Millennia, not centuries. Millennia, not decades, millennia. So, this is thousands and thousands and thousands of years of subjugation of people through legal contracts. And there have been many people who have been trapped in the Mundi underworld system, which is what we call planet Earth, who have not gained their access to the higher realms to be able to ascend, because they didn't understand what a debt was. Because religion placed the concept on them that they owed something, and then the legal system double placed it upon them that they owed something, and they lived their life as if they did, and they never lived their life to be free in order to escape this so-called reality. And you just learned a very significant truth in less than 20 minutes. People, more understanding has to be given, and more contemplation has to be given. Even if you have to give yourself space to be able to analyze the things that you are dealing with in personal life, you must give yourself room. Give yourself room and time to study. Set apart a time. Guys, I know that, you might work. You might be on the road. You might be running and gunning, doing what you're doing and working. You need to set aside some study time. I'm not saying you have to devour this stuff all at once, because it took me years to get to the point to where I'm at. But I set aside a lot of time and I sacrificed a lot of things that I otherwise would have wanted to enjoy. But I took time to basically go in and do what I need to do for myself, not based upon some sort of amusement, but I knew that the benefit that I would provide for myself by studying and inquiring about these things would actually benefit me in the long run. And to this day, I don't have the problems that other people have in their life. Now, people who hear the concept and don't do the concept, those are the people who are going to be the ones that are disgruntled, because they're going to believe in immediate result, and they're not going to put themselves in a situation to be accountable for what they lack. And that's a sad thing. It is very sad. Serious. It is very sad. But it's a state of affairs. I tell people sometimes maybe you might need to go take a retreat. Maybe you might need to go to a resort. Maybe sometimes you might need to just get away from social systems itself and learn how to be reliant upon the system of nature. You'll be quite all right. Because now you start listening to a different voice. Not the electronic one, but I'm talking about the voice of nature. And then you'll have much more peace, much more clarity in order for these things to resonate. You know, that's just a personal suggestion. It works for me. Works for me. Totally works for me. But to each his own. You can either take it or leave it. It's fine. It is what it is. Watch this. I know this is a little bit off the subject, but I'm going to close the video with this. Hey, Alexa, has the CDC released a document on a zombie apocalypse?
Sorry, I don't have an answer for that.
See, she ain't have an answer for it. Watch this. Alexa, has the CDC released a documentation on a zombie apocalypse?
Here's something I found on the web. According to govloop.com, as reported in many news sites today, the Centers for Disease Control, CDC, has released a new document that highlights the potential concern of a zombie invasion occurring in the future.
And I rest my case. I'm telling y'all, believe it or not, they've been programming you for this stuff for a long time. Whether you believe it or not. What they call conspiracy theories, as far as, especially when it comes to these legal concepts, they try to make it seem like you all out of whack. But trust me, they know. You should know too. The right to knowledge is the right to life. The right to life is the right to know. The right to know is the right to act. Take care, y'all. Peace, light, love. Take care. Agents, fuck you. Y'all stay tuned.